Hey, Skylar here from Change You Can Wear and Sojourn Fine Jewelry. And today we're going to be making quarter coin rings. This video is really designed for somebody who wants to get into coin ring making, but they don't want to spend $3,000 in getting all the good tools straight away. And they also don't want to start off by making the mistake of buying cheap tools to start with and then fighting the tools and not knowing if you actually want to do this or not because you're dealing with inferior tools. I'm going to be making quarter coin rings today with no more than $600 in specialty tools and specialty supplies. If you make 5 quarter coin rings, you've paid for all your tools already. Let's get right to it. Here's the quarter we're going to be using. It's a silver state quarter. This one happens to be Minnesota, but you can pick any state you want. Silver is amazing. They make special mint sets with silver coins, so just in case you didn't know, 90% silver, really great. You can use a regular quarter too, whatever you guys want to do. But what I'm going to do is mark a perfectly round hole that we're going to cut out. So what we need to do for that is put it against something, the appropriate thickness you're trying to do. I usually use business cards, but I'm going to try this today. See, that's way too small, so we're going to go bigger than that. All right, so we have our quarter, we got it marked. We're just gonna make a little divot in it with a punch and a hammer. I have an auto punch. I don't want to use that because I know I'll get criticized. So here's just an old dead burr. It's actually a beating tool, but you can use any kind of punch you want, really. Sharp stick, anything. All right, just make a divot. It's a pretty serious divot, that'll work. And now, take a small drill bit. Any kind of drill bit would work as long as you have that hole punched in it. And you can use any kind of drill. I'm going to use this guy since I have it handy here. But you can use a regular drill, it doesn't really matter. Get a hole started. All right, that'll work. Now we're going to start to cut to our lines with our jeweler's saw. A couple things before we get started. A jeweler's saw sounds expensive. It's not. I'm gonna have a link for all the tools, all the specialty tools down below. But this is a really basic jeweler's saw. I actually don't use this anymore. I pretty much exclusively use a nicer saw. This is the Haymaker. Get it at Pepe Tools. You can get this cheap type saw, and I'll have a link for it. It's Rio Grande, and it's under $10. You can go to Pepe Tools and get really nice blades. I wouldn't skimp on the blades, but it's like a set of 12 blades for $6. So you really can't go too wrong there. So we're going to feed this blade through the hole we just created, like so. Usually I use my shoulder and I just press against it and tighten it up. And then when you let the pressure go, it should be nice and tight. It's good to use some kind of lubricant. I think soap would probably even work. I use Pepe Lube, but literally, you can use oil, it's all fine. And when it comes to this, you don't have to buy a bench pin. They have these ones that you can just have bolt to a bench. That costs money. You could literally take a 2x4 or a piece of plywood and cut a V in it and just screw it to whatever bench you want to use for now. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. All we need to do is have a V in it so that way we can cut and still have this sitting on a flat surface like that. And now we just cut to our line. Let's do this. Pull that off. We have ourselves a hole. And so now what we'll do is we'll take a little sandpaper and clean that up. We could take a file. Matter of fact, a needle file wouldn't be such a bad idea. If you don't have a needle file, you can get one really cheaply at Harbor Freight. It's not really a specialty tool, so technically I'm not going to include it. And even if I did, it was like, I think you can get a set of them for like literally $3. So let's just do a little bit of work here. Just making that smooth so that way, what we're trying to avoid is if there's any rough areas where, you know, you have a sharp cut, you'll end up getting a split there. So what we're trying to do is just smooth this out so that way we're not going to get any splits when we start to work on this. And I'm not going to anneal this because I don't want to have to factor in the cost of a torch. And it's not really, I don't think everyone has a torch, so you don't really need a torch with a quarter coin ring, to be honest. You can totally get away with not having one. So we're going to just avoid it. A little bit of 220 grit sandpaper just to smooth everything up. Okay. All right. Let's go to the coin ring station now. We'll start folding this thing. So when I said at the beginning that it's going to be under $600 to do all of these specialty tools, almost all that money goes into this guy. This is a top of the line ring stretcher from Pepe Tools. It comes with a coin ring die set, which is really, really awesome. It opens up a ton of options for you. So this thing is $495, so it's the lion's share of what you're going to spend is just on this one tool. You could buy a super cheap Chinese stretcher for $100 or 120, whatever they cost now. But to be honest, you're wasting your money there because you don't get this die. The die that they come with just don't work. And you have to buy something there. And then you know it's going to break. This thing will last for years. It's worth spending money on good tools. It's just all it is to it. So anyway, we're going to use this guy, and it has a 25-degree side and a 17-degree side. We're going to be on the 17-degree side here. So we'll put the 17-degree side facing up. We're going to want Minnesota on the outside. We're going to put that facing down in our die. Find the die that it barely fits in, which is that one. You don't want to put it in a die that's way too big for it like that because you'll end up getting your coin stuck in there. It'll go too far down. And obviously if it's too small, you're just going to destroy your coin. So the one that barely fits in is perfect. This one fits perfectly. We're going to be using these folding cones from Jason's Works. These are also kind of expensive. These are like, I think $55 currently on his website, but they are awesome. So they're well worth the money as well. We're going to start off with this starter cone. It's a steel starter cone. We'll put it there. Put this underneath our plunger here. Give it a couple taps. Make sure it's more or less even. You don't want it to be too uneven. Don't go crazy evening it, but it'd be nice if it is pretty decent. And then give it a press. Okay, that's gonna start our fold. And let's just pull it out of there and take a quick look. Since we haven't annealed it, I'm a little concerned that we're gonna get splits, but it looks really good. So we're in good shape. We'll keep going. And what we're gonna do is go to one of these next cone sizes. And these composite cones, they're designed to not hurt the detail of the coin. If you were to use a steel cone all the way, it would mash up your detail. We don't want that, so just do our best to get it even. Keep folding. And so now we're going to pull it out, switch to a smaller die, or check to see if a smaller die will work. It still won't yet, so we'll keep going on this guy. Keep pressing. It's all the way down now. Pull that out. Will it fit in the next one? Yes, it will. Let's go up a cone size here. Okay. Press that one now. All right, you press until it stops, which it just did. So that means the cone is up against the reading, which is exactly what we have here. Pull that out. It's a little wobbly. It's wobbly because the hole's not perfect. We're gonna keep going with that and see how we do though. So at this point, we're going to sand this cut edge again, just to make sure we're not going to get any splits forming. It's the last thing we want. Looks like one is wanting to start right there. See that? That is the beginning of a split. So let's pay attention to that and sand it till it's gone. Okay, sand it till it is all smooth. So now what we're going to do is take our ring stretcher, put this coin edge facing up, and then start stretching it. And be careful, you don't want to have these massive full motions. You'll end up messing up your ring like that. So you put it on there, little tiny motions. And see how I'm holding downward pressure? And I'm turning it slightly every time as well. So that's going to avoid these splines making little creases on the inside of our ring, which is what we definitely don't want. And it also helps, if you want to preserve the inside of your detail of your coin even better, put a little bit of a trash bag between the coin and the ring stretcher, and that will help keep the detail really, really nice. So we're just going to stretch this, and we're going to stretch this until it touches everywhere on the mandrel. That's a bare minimum you want to stretch something. And by doing this, you get everything nice and even. If you don't do that, you get a lopsided, wonky ring. All right, let's pull it off and take a quick look. Okay, we are stretched. This isn't necessary, but it is really nice to hit ring sizes every time. That is sitting at an 8.5 currently. Let's make this a size 7 ring. And I'll actually put a link to this guy too. This is a Pepe Tools ring mandrel. It's a 121.00. These are by far some of my favorite ones to use. You don't need the steel one, but if you're going to be doing other jewelry, it's nice to have a steel one. You can get a really, really cheap one online, but a Pepe Tools one is just a nice way to go. Okay, find the die that this barely fits in. Again, a 17-degree die. We'll press it. Okay. Let's see, what size are we? So I want it to be a 7, so I'm going to go down to a 6. So we have some room to sand back up to a 7. Get rid of that sharp edge on the inside. Okay. Yeah, there we go. We're sitting at a 6. So now what we're going to do is, we've been pressing it down here to get about a size below what I'm trying to hit, which is a 7. So it's down to a 6 now, so we can sand back up here in a minute to a 7. Get rid of that sharp edge, but we're going to turn it around now and see we have this flare we want to get rid of. So we're going to press it the other way and just by eye make the outside of the ring look appropriate. Close. A little bit more. All right. That's about right. So now you can see there's this sharp edge. It's easy to feel, but this rim comes in here and makes a very sharp edge. We don't like that. So we're going to take our needle file and we're going to sand that back. And that's going to increase our ring size. That's why we went down below our target size, because we knew that this was going to need to, come out of there. Just take your time. Don't rush it and then hit the details. The last thing you want to do. I did kind of rush a lot of things in this video. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not as even as it could be if we would have took our time and cleaned that hole really more delicately and then filed out, before we started folding it, it would have come out a little more even. And it's not terrible, but see how it's a little bigger here. I could just shrink it some, but it's a little smaller here. It's a really fine thing, but it's because the hole wasn't, it's because that hole wasn't perfect. And also, if you were to anneal it, it would fold easier and it would be less wonky too. So if you want it to come out even better, I would encourage you to anneal it and then take your time when you cut the hole. All right. And once we're done with that, we'll take some sandpaper and just get rid of any marks from the file that we may have added. And that last little bit in there, the little lip, can be removed with some sandpaper too. This is smart pickle. So it comes granulated. You put it in some water, heat it up to just below boiling, and we'll throw this in there. And this is really helpful if you were using a torch to anneal, because it gets all this, annealing junk all over it. This will clean it right off and make it raw silver again. But we're touching it with greasy fingers and everything else, so this will just strip anything off of the surface, clean the silver, and get it ready to antique with our liver of sulfur, which will be our next step. So we're going to pull this out of here in a little bit, rinse it off, wipe it down with a clean towel. And then we're going to get some hot water right below boiling, put a couple drops of this liver sulfur XL gel in there, and it's going to darken it dramatically. And so it's been a few minutes. We're going to pull this out of the pickle. You could use just a little piece of plastic like that, or copper tongs. That would work too. Do not use steel. It will copper plate everything in your pickle pot, which is something you do not want. All right, got our fresh water. Give it a good rinse. Pat it dry with a really clean paper towel. Get anything off the surface that might still be there. Okay, we'll leave that like that. And then we'll get our hot water over here. And bring our hot water in. Fresh out of the microwave. Throw a couple of drops of this Lexel gel in there. I like to stir it up with this. Now, throw in our silver. And it doesn't need to be in there for too long, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes, depending on how hot the water is and how much gel you actually put in there, but usually a minute or two is all you need. Okay, it's been around a minute. We're going to fish it out of there. Rinse it off again. Dry it up. Once we have that done, we'll come over with our 4/0 steel wool and take some of this black back off. Now we'll just polish it with our disposable Connoisseurs jewelry wipes, and we'll be all ready to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out my website, changeyoucanwear.net, for all the rings and jewelry that I make. Also, check out my coin ring classes. We do that too. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.